welcome back to my channel. I am Heather Tiemann. I am with the Lexico Group powered by Century 21803 Realty down here in the beautiful Lexington, South Carolina. And today we're going to be talking about pitfalls of newcomers to our area. But before we get started with that, I'm going to ask that you please like and subscribe to my channel. We have a goal of 550 subscribers by the end of 2025, and we're about 460-ish. So well on our way. We're less than 100 now, so that's very exciting. I really appreciate all the love and support. But let's get into why you're really here. So I've done similar videos to this, but there are some things that I do want to touch on. That was a very loud truck going down the road. I don't know if you guys heard that. But if you're thinking about moving to Lexington, South Carolina, you're not alone. There are a few things that people consistently get wrong when they move here. So let's talk about those. Number one is going to be underestimating traffic and commute times. Everyone thinks that Lexington is a small town. Lexington is not a small town. Lexington is a very large town just outside of the state capital. So you need to keep that in mind when you are figuring out commute times, and especially when you are commuting. So you may think it's 5 miles that'll take you 5-10 minutes to get to work, but if you are commuting during rush hour, that may be a 30-minute drive. So Highway 378, I-20, 26, and schools that kind of by like roads that are beside schools, those can get very backed up during rush hour. So you're going to want to make sure that when you're finding a home to live in here, that you are taking that into consideration. If you are commuting during off rush hour times, then you may not have this issue, but it's definitely something that you want to take into consideration when you are finding a home to live in. If you are commuting to Columbia or anywhere else in that area, you may want to test drive that during rush hour to see if this is a feasible commute for you before pulling the trigger on that. That is one of the biggest things that I hear people talk about when they move here, where they were not expecting the traffic. So understand going in that there will be traffic and trying to adjust your commute times to affect that. Even sometimes leaving 5 minutes earlier can cut 15 minutes off of your commute time, or leaving 5 minutes later, just depending on when you are commuting to and from work or to and from school can make a big difference. So personally for me, because I drive so much, that I always try to live next to an interstate. So whether that be 20, 26, I always try to live close to an interstate, which makes my commute times a lot easier for me. Number two is not researching school zones. So a lot of people move here because they hear that Lexington 1 is a top-rated school district, which is true. That is not incorrect. That is factual information. And I cannot tell you if schools are good or bad. I can simply tell you that Lexington 1 is a top-rated school district. However, one thing I do want to recommend when you are looking at schools is to make sure that the home that you are looking at is zoned for the schools that you want to attend, or you want your children to attend. Because just because it's in Lexington 1 school district does not mean that it is rated the same as another school in that school district. Some are rated very highly, some are rated not as highly. So you want to research that before just assuming, oh, it's in Lexington 1 school district, that it must be a fantastic school. Because Lexington is very large, and Lexington 1 school district is very large. So you have the town of Lexington, you have Red Bank, part of Lexington, you have Pillion, you have Gilbert. All those are part of Lexington 1 school district. But they're not all rated the same. So definitely something you want to take into consideration when you are moving here is what school that home is zoned for. And another thing that I will hear a lot of people tell you, especially in my Moving to Lexington group, a lot of misinformation gets put out there that, oh, buy a home anywhere you want and just use school choice to go to the school that you want to attend. It is not that easy. Please do not take that advice. because you're going to end up regretting it. Because yes, does Lexington want to have school choice? It does. But a lot of the schools that people are trying to get school choice for have a very limited or no availability for school choice students. So, and when I say limited, I mean less than 10 spots a year for new students as for school choice. So do not take that advice and bank on being able to use school choice. I said my piece there. But I hear that misinformation so much. Please don't take that advice because you're going to end up regretting it. Number 3 is assuming all of Lexington is the same. As I said before, Lexington covers a huge area. Even if we're just talking about homes that have a Lexington address, it's still a huge area because Lexington is not only a town, but it is a county as well. So Lexington County is nearly 300,000 people, whereas which covers, Lexington, it covers Pillion, Gilbert, Irmo, parts of Columbia, Chapin, parts of Batesburg, parts of Leesville. Like Lexington County is very large, so you need to take that in consideration when you are assuming that all of Lexington is the same, because it is not. It can be vastly different. And honestly, even the homes that have a Lexington address can be very different from each other. So you need to take that in consideration. A home in Lexington could mean 5-10 minutes to downtown Lexington, or it can mean 40 minutes out in the woods. You really need to figure out what vibe you are going for when deciding where you want to live in Lexington. Because, like I said, it covers a huge area. You can be lakefront, you can be suburban, you can be rural, all within a Lexington address. You have areas near Pillion and Gilbert and Red Bank that are super quiet, and that's great if that's your thing. But if you moved out there expecting it to feel like the town of Lexington, you are going to be sorely mistaken. So that is something you need to figure out before moving here. And I hear a lot of people say, well, what area is better? What area is better is going to vary widely based on what you're looking for in an area. Some people want to live out in the middle of nowhere in the woods with not a single neighbor. For me, I would hate that. I want to be right in the middle of everything, with every store imaginable that can deliver straight to my house. So for me, this area is better, but for you, that area may be a nightmare. You may absolutely hate that. So when you are asking what area is better, always put in there what you were looking for in an area, so people can say, oh, well, this area may be better for you. I'll get off my soapbox. Number 4 is going to be ignoring property taxes and insurance cost. South Carolina taxes are low, but only if it is on your primary residence. There is a reason why our rental prices are so high, and that is because if it is not your primary residence, that home is taxed at a much higher value. I actually was just talking to somebody about this, where inside the town of Lexington, a $400,000 home, your property taxes are roughly $2,800 for the entire year. If that is an investment property or a second home or any of the above, those property taxes jumped up to $12,500. That is a vast difference. So when you are looking for rentals, that property tax has to be made up somewhere, and it is included in that rental price. So something that you really need to take into consideration. Another thing with taking that into consideration is if you're trying to buy a second home in South Carolina, you're going to be hit with that 6% property tax. So definitely keep that in mind. Insurance rates. So this is going to be, homeowners insurance for the most part is going to be relatively normal here. The closer to the coast you get, the higher that goes. But for the most part, homeowners insurance is relatively normal here. A little bit more expensive if you're in a flood zone, like around the lake or anything like that. But car insurance is very expensive here. We got some terrible drivers, like we just do. I can't make them drive any better, guys. I try, but car insurance is going to cost you more here. So you want to take that into consideration if you are purchasing a home or planning to move to Lexington or really anywhere in South Carolina, because car insurance rates are crazy in South Carolina. So number 5. Number 5, I've kind of touched on in other videos. I know I've kind of touched on some of these already in other videos, but I feel like there's something that just needs to be reiterated over and over again because I still see it happening to people. And number 5 is not understanding the nuances between Southern people and people that move here. Southern people are very nice, but they're very private. Whereas people that move here, they're very boisterous normally. Now, obviously, this is a generalization. And we know that generalizations don't fit every person. So they're very outgoing. They don't mind talking to people. But Southern people, they love to talk. Super nice people. But you have to talk to them first. Generally speaking, if we're out and about doing things, we're not going to speak to you unless you speak to us. If you speak with us, we'll be your best friend. But we tend to be pretty private and keep to ourselves. So if you're looking to make friends, go start that conversation with them, because most of the time they're going to be very happy to talk to you and they're looking to make that connection. So just something to really keep in mind when you are making a move here. So in recap, don't underestimate traffic, research your school zones, understand the different areas of Lexington, and talk to people when you move here, because you're not going to make friends if you're not talking to people. If you're thinking about moving here and want to help navigate this, I would love to connect with you. My contact information is down in the description below. And also, please feel free to subscribe for more local insight and drop any questions in the comments. I would love to hear them, but this video is getting long because I went on a tangent there for a little while. But until next time, bye!